From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. You have reached the Badass Counseling Show. My name is Sven I am the host of this show. It's great to have you here, no matter where you are checking in from, be it Lancaster, Pennsylvania, or in Peoria, or all the way down in Queensland, or if you are enjoying the tail end of the cloudberry harvest in northern Sweden. We welcome you to the show. For those of you that don't know, the cloudberry is native to northern Sweden, way up north, and it's only harvested about 3 or 4 weeks out of the year. And if you have never had cloudberry jam, trust me when I tell you, you have never had jam, you have never had toast, you've never had a peanut butter jelly sandwich, you've never had brie with a little jam on it until you have had cloudberry. And it is native to the best of my understanding, northern Sweden, my people. So those of you enjoying the tail end of the cloudberry harvest, great to have you here. I am joined in studio by my lovely colleagues, Casey over in the booth and Rob the Rocket. Rob, say hello.
I always learn something, Sven, on this show. And today I learned about cloudberries, which I have never seen at IKEA, but I will look next time.
Oh, shoot, Rob, I got to get you a jar. I have a place right over here, the Scandinavian store, and I will get you some. I didn't know I'd never introduced you to that.
You've mentioned it. I've never been.
Oh, I am so sorry. No, I got to get you some. It is the best. It is the best. All right, folks, we are here. We are running a lightning round episode and taking all your questions. We've got folks checked in from all around the world, especially Canada, the U.S., UK, South Africa, and of course down under. It's great to have everyone here. Not to mention Germany. Wie geht's heute, deutsche Leute? All right, good to have everyone here. And we're going to dive right in and start taking questions. So here's what we've got. Here we go. That one guy on TikTok. That one guy says, "Hey guys, need advice? I'm juggling too many things on my mind right now." Puts need advice with a question mark. So I don't need advice right now, except, I don't know. Rob, do you need any advice? Because he asked us.
Always.
Okay. I'm good, but you said you're juggling too many things on my mind right now. So I'm going to assume you can't offer me any advice. So because you're busy and I respect your busyness. So we'll move right on.
Wait a minute. What if you feel overwhelmed because there's too much going on?
Oh.
That's what he is asking.
Oh, so he's asking for advice from me.
You're just getting hung up on the punctuation.
Gotcha. I can't do that.
I need advice, period.
Gotcha. Okay. So got too much going on. You're struggling right now. Yeah. I mean, it's really funny. I actually heard when I was on social this week, somebody did a post that was a duet, a particular marketing guru that I follow, brilliant minds. I love following people in business just because I know nothing about business and I learn so much. But this particular marketing guru was stitching someone else and basically saying that the thing that cuts, the people who get the most done, apart from those who don't, is that they have the discipline, the rigor to say no. To say no. And really it's about what are your priorities and are you prioritizing your priorities? And do you have the courage to say no to those things, those entities, those energy sucks that are not your priorities? Single biggest thing, if you're running yourself thin, juggling too much, you got to learn to say no and you got to be kind of hardcore and people may not like you for it, but that's the price of going where you want to go. All right, here we go. Here we go with Miss 85. My husband attacks me during conversations to figure things out. He's in therapy. What do I do? Well, hopefully his therapist is helping him figure it out. But you have to be persistent. Presumably, you want to continue to stay married to this person and you want to have productive conversations, but you have to stop it every single time. With such things as, sweetheart, I love you, but you cannot attack me. That is not okay. And what you're going to see is they're going to respond with one of two things. Either in the food group of, you're right, sweetheart, I'm sorry. Or, what are you talking about? I wasn't attacking you, or denying it. No, it's your fault. You made me blah, 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 blah. To have a fruitful relationship, each person has to be willing to own the pain that they're causing the other person. They have to be willing to own their shit, as you've heard me say before. but you have to call it out every single time. You are fundamentally retraining him in how to treat you. And pardon the analogy, but retraining another person really is little different than training your dog. If you have a puppy and that puppy goes pee-pees inside the house, every single time that puppy goes pee-pee inside the house, you have to pick up the puppy and carry it outside. You have to. Why? Otherwise, you are training that dog that it's okay sometimes to urinate inside, and it's not. So with your husband, as with children, you have to catch it every single time. You have to be disciplined, all right? This is how my mom, for instance, she was a school teacher, and she taught us grammar. You want to know how she taught us grammar? She just corrected us every time. There was no scolding. There was no shame. It was just, if I were saying, oh, me and Wayne are going to the Dairy Queen, she'd say, Wayne and I. And I'd be like, yep, Wayne and I. Or she'd say, if I dropped my manners, she'd say, can you say please? And then I'd say please. And it's just, there was no scolding. There was no shame, just repetition. And you have to have repetition in keeping him on course, because he's not going to on his own, because he may not even know where he's hurting you. But that's only half the equation. The other half of the equation is you have to be in therapy yourself, or you have to be using journaling or writing letters that you don't send to flesh out all of your emotion, because I guarantee if he's attacking you, you are feeling emotionally charged because of that. That means in times outside of those conversations, you need to be putting in the effort to decharge yourself. We always make the worst decisions when we're emotionally charged. We always react versus staying calm when we're emotionally charged. So you have the opportunity, and hopefully he's doing this as well with his therapist in particular, you have the opportunity to decharge yourself from all the times in the past when he's done it, so that next time going in, you're a little bit calmer, and you're able to call him out and maintain your calm. So that's the work on yourself while you're simultaneously retraining him. Next question. Okay. Someone says tips for dealing with a narcissist. I'll be very honest with you. I give so many tips. I've got like a bank, an album, a catalog of narcissism videos, or what I call extreme takers. I would encourage you to you can do it. Facebook is the slowest mechanism for finding past videos. They've only recently instituted cataloging by topic. Whereas if you go over to TikTok, Badass Counseling on TikTok, there are just albums there, and you can tap on the Narcissist Extreme Taker album, and you can see all of them. And they're chock full of how to deal with a narcissist. On Facebook, they've only recently instituted that, and I've got someone working on slowly cataloging all the 1,000+ videos I've made. Instagram is nice because you can't catalog them by topic, but you can swipe much, much faster. So I would encourage you to go over to TikTok and watch those videos.
I have another tip question here from Kim on YouTube. Favorite tips for getting yourself out of the negative feedback loop?
Yeah. Simple tips are everything. The answer to so many of these questions, you guys, you have to understand, the answer is always going inside. It's always going inside yourself. And so in a negative feedback loop, that is occurring where you're having some stimulus and your negative feedback starts in your head. And that's a result of your core beliefs that you were taught about yourself. Oh, see, I suck. Oh, I'm no good. Oh, I fucked it up again. Or, well, what if they come after me? Well, what if they get mad at me? And all of that is rooted in your pain and your fears from your past, but most especially your core beliefs that you were taught to believe about yourself, most of which you can't even see. And you're like, well, how the fuck do I solve that? If I can't see it, how do I extract it? And of course, that's what all this is for. That's what my book is for. There's a hole in my love cup, etc. But it's going inside and determining, because your negative feedback loop is driven by pain that has caused you to believe, I'm no good, I'm unwantable, see, I screwed it up again, that sort of thing. And that is driven by core beliefs, such as, I'm no good, I'm never good enough, I'm unwanted, my voice doesn't matter, I don't matter. And so that's down here in the realm of core beliefs. And that's why you guys, if you've read my book, and if you've listened to my podcast, you know that trying to change surface behaviors, everyday behaviors and actions, trying to change those never changes those long term. It doesn't stick. Until there is a change in the core beliefs way down here, deep inside, until there's a change in the core beliefs driving those behaviors, no changes will stick. So anytime you're struggling with something in your everyday life, the answer is inside. And the answer comes from identifying the problem. Because if you don't identify the root of any problem, this is true in business, this is true in podcasting, this is true in animal husbandry and training animals, and I don't know a lot about it, but I've got tons of clients who are horse trainers, animal trainers, dog trainers. I have one dear friend who trains cows to do tricks, believe it or not. In any of those industries, in any industry, in any part of life, parenting, you got to drill down to the root problem. Otherwise, any solution you create is a half solution. So it's going down in there to determine what those root causes are. Next question. Here we go. Another husband question. Love, Health, and Relationships asks the question. She asks, what's the best way to help my husband who is going through a depression? First of all, anytime someone's going through a hard time of any sort in life and you want to be supportive to them, there are always the very simplest things. Reaching out regularly, telling them you love them, telling them you care, offering to help. Okay, those are the basics. Now, this is your husband, so it's obviously a somewhat different situation. You're not going to offer to bring over a hot dish or a casserole. This is just the way. How do you support him? You be patient, you be kind, you be loving. However, the other side of that is that hopefully you have a husband that honors boundaries as well and doesn't take advantage of that goodwill. And he is kind even in his depression, but you support him also by gently yet firmly encouraging him to get help with his depression. Now, you don't mention whether or not he's talking to a therapist or something like that, but he needs to be. He needs to be actively engaged in going into and working through his depression. You don't say whether or not he is, but you're trying to support him. But it's hard to support someone who's not putting in the effort, isn't it? It's very, very frustrating because it ends up taking a drain on both of you. And if someone doesn't want to engage the problem, as I was just talking about a minute ago, drilling down to the root problem, then you're with someone who is in this state that doesn't seem like it's going to change. And in which case, in all of these cases, you need to be going into your own anxiety and pain and fears and flushing your own stuff, flushing your own stuff out. But the truth is, in any relationship, there are periods where one person is making more of an investment, having more expected of them than the other person. That's what a great relationship is that we've each over time been making deposits into the emotional bank account of this relationship, not the financial one, the emotional one, that I've invested in you, you've invested in me, I've supported you in this venture, you've supported me in that hard time, and we keep making deposits. Well, the purpose of those deposits is that so withdrawals can be made. Withdrawals can be made in good faith, and that we can know the other person is there for us when we're going through a hard time. A withdrawal from an account is when I need support. And if someone's going through a hard time, they need support. Now, if your husband has been supportive of you and made those deposits into that emotional bank account, there's nothing more that you have than the desire to be supportive to him. And that's precisely what you're saying. How do I support him? Hopefully, he has made those such that you feel good in seeking to support him and not something else. But it's continuing to bring the love, encouraging him to get to therapy, being patient, being kind, while also gently encouraging him to move towards going into it and solving it. Next question.
Hey, Sven, I think Kim from the negative feedback loop question needs a little more help.
Sure.
First, she said, that's interesting. It's fear-based. Thank you. But then she says, I try to reparent myself all the time. But like Sven just said, nothing sticks long-term. I think it's hard because I still can't believe what I'm telling myself. Like I've almost over-intellectualized it and can't get it out of my head.
Right. You can't non-parent or you can't reparent a child unless you don't know what the root problem is. And so when I say you have to drill down to the root issues, you can't see it yet. All right, this is pretty much all of my clients. And it requires asking the right questions to take you down, because that negative feedback loop is being driven by things you were taught about yourself that you can't see. You can't see it yet, obviously. Otherwise, you would have drilled down and fixed it yourself. Again, I'm not just selling books here, folks. But that is exactly what I wrote the book for, because you need the right sequences of questions, the right questions to be asked. You need to be journaling on these ideas. You need to be, what it is because you have been taught negative core beliefs about yourself. Those are affecting everything. It doesn't matter how much gratitude lists or staying positive or willpower you employ. You've got something dragging you down from inside. And that has to be identified. So no amount of patterning or changing behaviors or willpower can yank you out of that until you drill down to what that is. And it's more than I can do in a lightning round session. What I would encourage you to do, if you want a free option is listen to our episodes on Thursday night episodes of the podcast. Listen to those because I'm counseling with people. I'm literally counseling them. And so you'll witness by me working with someone else, you'll see the sorts of questions that you can be asking of yourself, that you can be using in your own self-help, in your own journaling. Okay? But it's just the right questions. I don't know how else to say it. My entire life's work, from back when I was a clergyman, back when I was going through seminary, hell, when I was doing my undergraduate, I studied what? World religions. What are those about? And myth systems. What are those about? Beliefs. The power of beliefs. The power of personal myth. The stories that we tell ourselves. Those are deeply embedded. Nothing is more greatly impacting you than your core belief system. And that's what has to change. And most people don't even know, they think they know what their values are or their principles are. Shoot, your core beliefs are way deeper than your principles and values. Principles and values are backfill to justify actions. The real shit is the shit you can't see. And so just go back and listen to some of these counseling episodes and you'll begin to get a feel for what I'm talking about. All right, next question. Hope that helps.
Good one.
Well, thank you, young man. All righty. Okay, Jen asks a very interesting question. Marriage struggle. We seem to have quite a few marriage questions today. Jen on Facebook says, marriage was abusive for 14 years. Both doing self-work now has changed dynamics. How do I talk about the 14 years productively? And now I'm going to interpret that to mean I fucking hate those 14 years and maybe I'm still pissed and I'm hurt and I ain't seeing much good in there, Sven. Talk to me, Daddy-O. And my response to that, Jen, is in all likelihood, 14 years. You didn't say 14 years of struggle, 14 years of hardship, 14 years of arguing. You said 14 years of abuse. That's massive negative energy that was conjured up for 14 years. That's massive negative shit that you endured for 14 years. And you're wanting, fundamentally, you're saying, how do I talk about it productively? And what you're really saying, underneath the talking about, we were just talking about actions and beliefs, underneath the actions of not being able to speak of it productively are beliefs that it's still not a positive thing for you or productive. I'm willing to bet, having counseled literally thousands of couples and having written a book in the field of cheating in particular and all the pain from that, 2 books actually, you've got so much anger, you've got so much hurt inside of you still, possibly even rage and hate. And you won't be able to look at those 14 years productively or positively or fruitfully. You won't be able to move forward until that gets addressed, until you, and I don't mean you ever even have to bring it up with him. I mean, if you want to, you can. And, that would require a few questions to ask as to why you'd be doing it. And I'm not saying you shouldn't or should. I don't give a shit. But the bottom line is you've got so much shit inside of you: pain, hatred, anger, rage, sorrow, betrayal, all sorts of shit inside of you. Until all that comes out, you're fucked. You're just fucked. You won't be able to see it productively. You just won't. Because it's like you have this burden still inside of you. And hence, when you're driving a car, it's like you have 1 foot on the accelerator and 1 foot on the brake. Although they don't call them accelerators anymore, do they, Rob?
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Gas pedal, accelerate, or electric pedal, whatever it is.
Electric pedal, right?
Makes it go.
The go button thing where my feet are.
Like, who can't pass a driver exam? Like, question number 1, which controls speed? A, door locks, B, radiator.
Wait a minute. I never got that driver's test. I wanted that one.
Okay.
All right. All right. Much more to come right after the short break.
I counseled with Badass Counseling for about 4 months, and Sven completely turned my life around. He kicked my butt. No shit. He made me do homework too, but I was so ready for a change that I just did it all. I'm telling you, he changed my life. Thank you so much, Badass Counseling.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
Hi, guys. Good to have you back. We are in the middle of a lightning round. I've got 3 questions right in front of me, queued up. Bang, bang, bang. Anthony John DeMito over on Facebook says, Do you consider screaming and yelling rants and posting them online a good form of therapy? Do you think that's directed towards me, Rob?
Why, no. Why would I think that?
Tell you what, Anthony, I'm going to play the ball as it lies, all right? I am going to take your question as a straight answer, or as a straight question, excuse me. Do I consider screaming and yelling rants and posting them online a good form of therapy? Well, I'm going to answer that a couple of ways. One, I'm going to open it up to the peanut gallery. Presumably, you're talking about me and my posts, my 1,000 whatever posts that I've put up on social media. And presumably this, my podcast as well. So let's open it up to all the badasses following around the world. Though it makes you wonder why people are following from around the world, and we're at almost 2 million downloads of the show. I don't know. But we'll open it up to the group, first of all. So go ahead and tell me, guys, what do you have to say to Anthony John DeMito on Facebook? Second of all, do I consider screaming and yelling rants and posting them online a good form of therapy? Yeah, to be very honest with you, absolutely. I wouldn't be doing this shit unless I felt it was helping someone. Are you aware of the fact that on all 4 platforms that I post on of social media, 5 if you include LinkedIn, I'm not monetized for the posts I put up. Most people get monetization. They get money for every post they put up. I don't. You want to know why? Because I swear in my videos. Therefore, I'm excluded from the money-making community. So why the hell am I putting these videos up? I'm putting them up. And we do this podcast. We don't get paid for this podcast. We don't have paid sponsors. We do it. We have 3 people investing hours and hours every week, especially Rob, invests more than any of us. Why? We're helping people. Do I consider what I do a form of good therapy? Fuck yeah, I do. Furthermore, there are people who don't respond to just nice. There are people who don't respond to normal therapy jargon, and so forth. And I'm all for therapy. I'm constantly telling people, go to a therapist, go to a psychologist, go to a marriage and family therapist, go to a licensed social worker. Fuck yeah, I'm a huge believer in the therapy industry because there are good people helping a lot of fucking people, and there aren't enough. I'm a huge believer in therapy. And we each have our niche. My niche is for people who talk regular, so to speak. So I have a lot of athletes. I have a lot of captains of industry. I have a lot of academics, people in the entertainment field. Why? Because for whatever reason, call it poor judgment on their part, they're attracted to an intense, strong personality who just gives it to them fucking straight. No bullshit. And I am very passionate about my work. You call it screaming and yelling, rants, call it what you want. I don't give a shit because it works for a lot of people. And a lot of people it doesn't. And I don't care. I'm just trying to help my tiny little niche. Do you know that when Ben & Jerry's ice cream came out, they didn't come out originally with vanilla and chocolate and strawberry? They came out with New York Super Chunk Fudge. They came out with fish food. Well, it wouldn't have been fish in the beginning. They what was Cherry Garcia, Chunky Monkey.
Stephen Colbert's Americone Dream.
I love Americone Dream, right? They decided to choose a tiny little niche and they blew up the industry of business because big business was you appeal to the masses, you put it on TV, and that's how you market. I have a very tiny niche of people who just fucking want it straight. Don't bullshit me. But it's done in a spirit of compassion. All right? And I think that comes through to people. So yeah, I actually think what I do does fucking help people. Obviously it doesn't help you, so I wish you well on your journey. But I appreciate the question. That was a fair question. And I hope you feel like I answered it fairly. All right, next question. Here we go. I've got Bon21 on TikTok asks, how do I get over my fears of leaving my spouse who keeps betraying my trust? So clearly you're wanting to leave your spouse, and the mere fact that you say keeps betraying says we're talking about multiple incidents of your spouse betraying your trust, right? So then you desiring to leave, I confirm, I applaud, I support you in that. I really do. Because someone who repeatedly betrays your trust is not someone you want to be with. Trust, as I believe, is the fundamental tenet of a functioning, a happy relationship of any type. It's even more than love. I have to know that I can entrust my spirit, who I am to you, and you will not hurt me, or at least not intentionally. And if you do hurt me, which is inevitable in any relationship, you will atone. You will exhibit contrition and seek to mend the breach. And I will do likewise for you. Trust is everything. But how do you get over your fears of leaving your spouse? You go inside yourself and you begin to journal about what is it you're most afraid of? And let me ask you now, what are you most afraid of? Are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid of telling him to his face and hurting his feelings? Are you afraid of looking him in the face? Do you feel fear that he'll get mad at you and yell at you or stomp out or give you the silent treatment? First of all, I would begin in your journaling, name every single one of your fears, what it is you're really afraid of. And in your being alone, what is it you're most afraid of? Is it navigating the financial aspect and finding an apartment or whatever it might be? Or is it the idea of when I'm alone, all of my feelings come rising up inside of me and they choke me and I have so much anxiety? And if that's it, that's so fucking normal. That is so many people. Those things that you were taught about yourself. See, I'm alone now. They left. See, they used to pour love into my love cup and now they walked away and they're not here anymore. And it makes me afraid. But when I have someone here, it confirms my worth. All those voices, all the shit that I was taught about myself growing up. If I have someone here, the mere fact that you're here says that I have worth. That means all those voices from my childhood, that there's a living, active, breathing counter message in my life. And therefore it is making those voices that I was taught about myself, making those go away. So when someone leaves, all those voices up here come roaring into my head, right? So you've got to begin to address what really are the fears. You've got to articulate them. And you guys hear me use this phrase a lot. Say it, articulate it in one sentence or less. One sentence or less. Drill it down, distill it down to its essence. What fundamentally is it you're most afraid of? Write it down. That one sentence, no commas, one fucking sentence. Are you afraid of what people will say? Then I would ask you, what is the one sentence that would hurt the very most if someone said it to you or thought it about you in your leaving your husband? And then I would ask you the question, who would it hurt the most to hear that from? Or who's most likely to say it? That's probably your biggest or one of your biggest fears in the idea of leaving your spouse. But you have to drill down inside of yourself to find out, name what those fears are. Next question. Lucky Chicago 23. 23, all right. This is a Michael Jordan guy. Lucky Chicago 23. I was always more of a Blackhawks guy back when they'd play the North Stars. But anyway, ask the question. I wish I could afford like 10 minutes with this guy to get help. Well, you can, Lucky Chicago 23. Just write into our producers and get on the show. I'll counsel you on the show. Me and you, all right? If they pick you. And we get a lot of people writing in, but they pick people. Write into production. This goes for anybody, not just you, 23. Write into production at badasscounseling.com, production at badasscounseling.com. We also are going to be opening a membership to Badass Counseling that you can pay a fee and you get access to everything. And plus, we shrink the group size. And so there's a greater likelihood of you getting one-on-one or small group counseling, that sort of thing, for really great rates. And that'll be coming out in the next month or two here.
Somebody, while you were answering that, as a matter of fact, it was Kim, said, do you have any type of online community?
Yeah.
There you go. You just answered it.
Yeah, that one is coming, and that will be through Badass Counseling website. And that will be for a fee, and that will get you access to all our coursework, get you access to the newsletter, get you access to even small groups, and you'll be from a smaller pool of who gets picked for the podcast. So you have higher likelihood of everything. But also on Facebook, there's a Facebook Badass Counseling group. Badass Counseling group. It's free. Go join it. We have moderators and so forth. All right. Breakaway asks a question I get a lot. This is here on TikTok. My core issue is lack of worth. I have always put others over me. Tips on how to change that. Yeah, that's at the root of so much of the work that I do with clients. Honestly, there are free answers and there are ones that cost a small amount. Free answer is this. Straight answer to I've always put others first over me. Go to TikTok right now. You're on TikTok, Breakaway, actually. And again, I'm only recommending TikTok over YouTube and Facebook and Instagram just because it's easier to find subject matter because it's cataloged by topic. Instagram does not give you that option. YouTube does not give that option. And Facebook has only recently employed that option. Go to TikTok, or you can go scroll through shit on Instagram and look at the banners. I always put a title banner on each one. Go to it on TikTok and look on my core page on the albums and look under self-help. Look under childhood especially and parenting. Why? Because your core issue of lack of worth, I guarantee you, as a matter of almost absolute fact, got implanted, embedded in you. That core belief got pressed. You got messages that got pressed into the wet cement of your soul, and they have been there since childhood. And until that core belief is identified, you won't solve this problem. You'll just be trying to do action behavior fixes and not drilling down to the core belief. That's the free answer. Just go to fucking TikTok and start watching all those free videos. Usually most of them have questions. You can use those as journaling prompts. You want the quick answer of non-video, pay $20, and that's just get the book. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. And I wrote the book, literally, it's 80% of my counseling method, 70%, and I wrote it to step you through this exact process. If you prefer it in Spanish, get the Spanish version. All right. Corbin asks, how do I get over leaving a toxic family and not talking to them? It's killing me. I don't have much family. I have my own little family of 4, but it kills me. My mother and father and siblings are toxic for me, and I can't have them in my life. In all honesty, Corbin, the question you need to be asking yourself, anytime you are trying to let go of someone, guys, first of all, what you need to do is you need to hold on to them as tightly as possible. So you guys have heard me say this. You're trying to let go of an ex-lover. Write them letters that you don't send. Pour out all of your pain, your misery, your longing, your feeling of betrayal, all your love, all your lust. Put it in letters as passionately, intensely as you possibly can, and keep writing those letters. Go to the places that remind you of them. Wear the favorite sweatshirt of yours that was theirs that you stole when they left. Do all those things and journal the fuck out of it and write these fucking letters. But you're talking about something slightly different yet slightly similar, Corbin. You say, I left a toxic family. They don't talk to me. It's killing me. Gosh, my mother and father and siblings are toxic for me, and I can't have them in my life. The second thing you can do, in addition to journaling and writing letters that you don't send, is do this, Corbin. Write down on a piece of paper this question. So for your journaling, I want you to write out the question, not just the answer, so that you can go back to the question. The question is, what do I still want from mom and dad? And if you had to pick one that you wanted it from more, what, if you were to drill it down to one sentence or less, what are you still wanting? Okay. And you're going to say, I want a relationship with them where they are nice to me. And then write it, and whatever your answer is, write it out, and then write this question, then what? And you'd be like, what do you mean, then what? Well, if you had that relationship, then what? What would you get from that? Then what? And then give your answer. Write out your answer. And then write the words, then what? Question mark. And I want you to keep drilling down, because there is something you are wanting that you have not put your finger on, that you've got to identify. And it usually gets down to, I'm wanting them to be nice. I'm wanting them to affirm me. I'm wanting love. I'm wanting a normal relationship. I'm wanting, them to recognize me, acknowledge me, and so on and so forth. You're wanting, and keep going down. Well, what would that give you? And what you're trying to get down to, well, it would give me a feeling of, God, feel loved. And then what? Love isn't what you're after. There's something even different. Well, if you felt loved, then what? And what you're going to get down to, whatever path you take getting down there, if you keep asking yourself, then what? It almost always ends somewhere down around, if I got this thing that I say that I want, if I got that, then I would feel peace. Then I would feel fulfilled. Then I would feel accepted. Then I would feel like I matter. There's some then down there, this feeling that you are so searching for, and you believe that only they can grant it. You want it from them. You're wanting someone, generally speaking, to confirm your worth. That is what fills that hole inside. And if you had that hole inside, then what? If you had it filled and you finally had that peace, and very often it's something along the lines of, then I could finally begin my life. Then I could actually finally enjoy life. Then I could, have peace and feel like I am whole. That's what you're really after. You think you're wanting a relationship with them, and yes, you are. But what you really want is what that relationship would make you feel inside. And I want you guys to think about this if you are considering your career. I want you to think about this when you are considering relationships, when you are thinking about anything, getting your body back in shape, whatever it is. Always ask yourself the question, what is the feeling that I am seeking in all of this? Every action, every pursuit, every challenge, every career, everything is driven by a desire to feel something. I went to the gym this morning. Why do I work out? Because I enjoy working out? No, I fucking hate it. I've been working out since I was 11. I've been competitive. I was competitive lifting by the time I was 12 and setting school records by 13, state records by 15. All right? I'm a former NCAA coach, former NCAA Division I athlete. Do I enjoy being in gyms? Not particularly. No, I don't want to. I work out 1 day a week, 2 if I have to, work out for 4 hours, get amped up on caffeine, and I get the fuck out of there. Well, why do I do it? I know why I do it, because I feel good after my workout? No, not particularly. No, I feel good when I look in the mirror and like how I look. If I'm really honest, I'm vain. Fuck it, I'm vain. And so I'm driving towards a particular feeling. I feel strong. I feel aggressive in my work, and my work requires me to have aggressive, intense mentality. It's the nature of my work. All right. And so I'm doing it for a feeling. So name the feeling that you are driving towards. That's what you've got to get down to. And you've got to get down to the then what, then what, then what. Because the bottom line is you're in a jail cell and you think only your parents, that they threw you in that jail cell. Your family made you feel all this bad stuff, which is why you've separated from them. But you're in this jail cell of feeling alone, lonely, and not fulfilled inside. And you believe that they and only they have the key to your cell. And the fact is the key to that cell has been in your pocket the whole time. You can solve it yourself. All right, guys. That was the last question of the day for now. And on behalf of Rob the Rocket and KC over in the booth, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.